I got to say this as a Cubs fan. If I never, ever, ever have to see the Cubs take on the Marlins in the playoffs, I will be perfectly okay with that. Like, let's be honest and let's be realistic. How many of you felt some 2003 ish vibes and said, well, I ain't beating the Marlins? Or even just the vibe of, the Marlins typically don't give a crap about playoff baseball, winning baseball, trying to chase a World Series. But by God, when they get into the playoffs, they're usually a force to be reckoned with. Like, I kind of was in both of those camps. I am absolutely not surprised in any way, shape, or form that in this opening wild card round, the Cubs got swept by the Marlins. Nor am I surprised that Kyle Hendricks and Yu Darvish did their absolute best to put the Cubs in a good spot, and ultimately their offense largely crapped the bed again. Kind of a pathetically predictable pattern of behavior from this so-called awesome young core of power hitters that they were supposed to have, right? And now, let me just say this for the record. It feels really weird after well over 30 years, or 30 plus years, I should say, of being a Cubs fan, to be in kind of this mindset at the end of 2020 where I'm really grouchy about this team, but it's because they haven't won more than one World Series. Like, that is a really, really weird feeling. Because for so many years, the Tribune Corporation didn't care. Especially in the years that Andy MacPhail, FAIL, was running the organization, they just didn't seem to care. Every once in a while, they would give you an illusion or a hope of caring. But you just, first level type of media market, small market mentality and mindset. Just in terms of when it does come time to compete, it's not the priority. It's more about creating the experience, and we don't want to actually win, because when we actually win, that creates expectations of actually winning some more. Well, that has changed a little bit in recent years under the Ricketts ownership, but primarily due to Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer and this front office. This organization has kind of changed their ways a little bit. So now I'm talking about a run here where you've had 3 LCS appearances in 6 years, 5 playoff appearances total in 5 years, including the World Series appearance and the World Series championship in 2016. Surely, as a sports fan, one of the absolute highlights of my life, especially coming back from that 3-1 deficit and, the extra innings affair in Game 7, the rain. I could go on and on and on. I've said for years that before I died, one of the things I wanted to see was just one Cubs World Series. Just one Cubs World Series championship. That's it. That was one of the few things that I really said, hey, before the good Lord upstairs takes me, or the bad Lord downstairs takes me, whatever they're inclined to rank me as, I just wanted to see one Cubs World Series. And I got that. It is an emotional experience. I still get a little emotional kind of thinking about it 4 years later. But it has been fascinating to me how this organization went from potential dynasty to certified borderline dumpster fire in the course of 4 years. This was supposed to be a young core that was supposed to deliver multiple World Series appearances to the North Side. This was an organization with a young core of power hitters that was supposed to run the National League for the next 5 to 10 years. They were supposed to be dominant. They were supposed to win multiple World Series championships. And they've won one. And they are heading down the wrong path. You can sit there and say, well, what do you mean? They hired David Ross in his first year as manager. They made the playoffs. But yeah, this season is all types of FUBAR, and you know it. It's a shortened season, 60 games. Cubs got out to a hot start early, and it was enough to largely hold on and get them into the playoffs. And especially with an expanded playoff format, there's a lot of things at play here. But at no point in time did I have any inclination or aspirations that this team was actually a real legitimate World Series threat this year. Did any of you? Like their lineup couldn't hit at all. Like their lineup was really, really bad. Even worse than it usually has been. When Jason Hayward is one of your one or two best hitters on the team, you're in a bad spot and in a bad, bad way. Now, of course, Jay Hay is one of their highest paid players, and hey, let's give $20+ million a year for almost a damn decade to a guy who hits with little power and doesn't even hit for high average. But, whatever. But you sit here now, the Cubs in 2 games in the playoffs this go around managed to score one God-blessed run. Like even in the 8th inning, the whole thing that was going on between Garcia and Contreras, it's like, on the one hand, why are you intentionally throwing at Contreras' elbow a second time just to put him on base when that brings the tying run up to the plate? And then I'm like, it doesn't matter. This team couldn't hit its way out of a paper bag in the postseason. And I think to me, it's just my personal opinion, but this is where you see some of the ills of the analytics dominant mindset in baseball. Not enough emphasis on contact, not enough emphasis on playing small ball and doing those little things to help manufacture runs, not enough emphasis on being able to run the bases, stealing bases, situational baseball. Analytics doesn't care about that. It's a lot less gray area. It's more black and white, which for some situations, some places works. And it certainly is not a bad thing to take some elements from analytics and incorporate that into the model of how you build your team. But look, at the end of the day, like this has been a theme. It was even a theme during the playoffs in 2016 when they ended up winning it all. They had too many long stretches where they just didn't get people on base consistently enough, didn't piece together, runs of hits. They didn't piece together rallies or sustained innings. It's all got to be maybe a walk and a home run, and you hope that's pretty much all the Cubs' offense. You're just going to have a hard time really succeeding on a consistent basis once you get past a certain point. And that's exactly what it is for the Cubs. And when you look at what happened in 2020, like so many of their core guys just had god-awful, horrible seasons. I understand, shortened season and all, but still, goddamn. Like even for Schwarber this year sucked. He just kind of sucks in general. Chris Bryant a few years ago was league MVP. Now he looks like Scrub City. Anthony Rizzo's been the Cub of the past decade. He's been that dude. And all the while, he was crap this year. Javi Baez was crap this year. Going from being borderline MVP guy to crap city. Contreras. I could go on and on and on. I think the chickens are coming home to roost where Theo and Jed didn't make the moves they needed to sustain the run at the top. They stood pat. They bought into the belief and the arrogance of what they had done. They believed that was good enough. Give it time, let them grow and develop and mature as players, and that's going to bring even more success. And that didn't happen. Like to all the Cubs fans that would debate me on Twitter a few years back about Kyle Schwarber, should have traded him after that World Series, or at least after 2017. Now you trade him, what the hell is the market value? You know what I mean? And what's really bad about this is it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. Like I said, they went from World Series champions to dumpster fire in 4 years. Because this is a team in need of a dramatic lineup makeover. A team in need of a dramatic makeover of their bullpen. It's great they got Craig Kimbrell, paying him a crap ton of money to go out there and absolutely suck. But you look at it and you say, looking at this core, you got 4 of the key guys, if you will, are going to be free agents after next year. It's Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, Anthony Rizzo, and Kyle Schwarber. And even if you stated the obvious, well, A, you wouldn't want to keep them all at this point. B, you can't keep them all financially. C, you get to the most important thing. Like if you did the sensible thing and would have started remaking this core a year or 2 ago, what would it have looked like? Now you sit there and say, what the hell could you even get back? Like if you're going to say, well, trade Chris Bryant, great. For what? You're going to trade Javi Baez. Okay, what are you actually going to get back for him? Rizzo, same question. Schwarber, a low-level minor leaguer and cash considerations or a player to be named later? Like, the Cubs are in this really weird spot where they've got this core that is underperforming. A bunch of them about to hit free agency in another year. You got Contreras following up after that, a free agent after 2022. This line of construction isn't working. This core isn't working. It is time for a change and a dramatic change. And you just look at them and you say, where the hell is that change going to come from? I think Theo and Jed, the front office, are just way too loyal to these guys. Just my opinion. If they haven't made some moves by now, why all of a sudden would they? And even if they did, it would be more out of desperation than identifying the right needs and opportunities and being proactive in filling those needs and opportunities. You can look at the pitching staff. Okay, Darvish was great this year. Maybe an NL Cy Young Award winner. Kyle Hendricks is a qualified, legit top of the rotation starter. You got Alec Mills under long-term team control, so you're saying, okay, maybe the no-hitter is a sign of better things to come in the future. Maybe you feel confident in the 350 rotation. You certainly feel confident in your top two. But you got John Lester's got a $25 million option with a $10 million buyout. Are you actually bringing him back? And if not, now you're eating $10 million to take the L there. Jose Quintana's a free agent. Boy, that trade really didn't work out all that well, did it? Tyler Chatwood's a free agent. That was another signing that went bust for Theo. Like, you just look at this team. You're giving Hayward a crap ton of money to be underwhelming. Your other young core guys are all hitting free agency in the next year or two and significantly underperforming. Like, what's the Cubs' hope here in 2021 as you look ahead? Because they're not going to be all that aggressive financially because the Ricketts family is going to have a similar mentality to the Tribune Corporation. We should see that by now. I mean, what's the approach here? You hope that all four of these guys being in potential contract years is going to give them career years magically out of their asses, and all of a sudden that's going to take you to another level? That ain't happening. I'm so tired of seeing this lineup without a legitimate leadoff hitter, without a more traditional number two type hitter. Like, these people that want to sit there and make these arguments for different approaches to lineups, like, they're just dumb. The approaches are just dumb. Like, hitting guys like Chris Bryant or Rizzo second. Like, it's just stupid, man. You know, sometimes times change, the game changes, but sometimes things have always traditionally been done away for a reason, and you don't necessarily go against that convention. And whatever argument you're making about the core of this team and the construction of the lineup and so on over the years, it was certainly a frustration under the last manager, Joe Maddon. It ain't working. So whatever you believe, if it's not that shit is wrong and needs to change, 1 run in 2 playoff games, 1 run in 18 innings. I felt so bad for Hendricks in Game 1 on Wednesday and horrible for Darvish in Game 2 today, because what the hell are they supposed to do? You're telling them basically they got to be absolutely perfect to have a shot. The first time they make a boo-boo, down goes the rest of it because you have absolutely no confidence in this lame-ass offense of the Cubs to do anything whatsoever. You don't really have much in the farm system. You got a bunch of money tied up into this roster and this core and too much loyalty to this core to really do anything about it. You have questions, certain significant questions about your starting rotation, and your bullpen stinks. Like, this feels much more like the true end of it than it does like, we'll get them next year. And it sucks. Because you only get so many windows of opportunity to contend for championships. And it is officially slammed shut on the Cubs. And I will always be thankful for the experience of 2016. I will always be appreciative of that. Again, one of the great memories and moments of my life, really. But now that I got a little taste of it, admittedly, I want more. And it just sucks because we're at the end for this Cubs core. It's about to get pretty ugly, folks. So just buckle up the next couple of seasons, and let's hope that this front office will get imaginative, get creative, get aggressive, go out and do some big things, because they need to if they have any aspirations of being taken seriously anytime in the near future as a contender. Because otherwise, what you saw this year is the absolute top of the aspiration of what they could be, and even this year was largely a fluke.